So guys, in this video, we're going to be looking at the G&G LevAR. This one's coming because the standard Tappet plate's broke. So we're going to replace it with the enhanced Tappet plate. And we're going to do a couple of the upgrades. Some of them have been done, but we thought we'd add the rest in and show you how to insert the other ones at the same time. So I just thought I'd put this video together, show you how to do it, because this is literally my favorite gun in CQB. It's awesome. So I'll catch you after this.
There's many reasons why this G&G LevAR is literally the best thing that's happened to Airsoft in a long time. We do have lever actions in Airsoft, but there's inherent problems with them, whether it be shell ejecting, whether it be an internal magazine, or you gas them in weird places. The G&G LevAR has been built on a system that works. We know that the rotary hop units and AR front ends are just bang on for upgrades. But the internals of this thing have made it so simple that a lot of companies have jumped on this to give us better parts to make this gun even better than it already is out the box. Now, if you've got a G&G LevAR, I wouldn't be afraid about completely dismantling this gun. It's so simple. Just knock out the front body pin and that makes your upper come off. Once you've got the upper off, there's your hop unit and barrel. Pull that out and then we're ready to do the first upgrade. Now, the first upgrade we're doing is we're installing the Quantum Friction Pro hop rubber. We're putting this in. The G&G blue that's in this is not a bad rubber. However, it's not as consistent and great for lifting super heavy weights than this rubber is. Now, to get started, all you've got to do is take the spring off and take the clip. Make sure you're very careful with this because they do go flying quite regular if you're not holding onto them. Now, before you pull out the barrel, make sure you turn your hop off. The reason is you don't want that patch pressing down into the barrel as you pull it. And the other reason why we're doing this upside down is so the nub doesn't fall out, so we don't have to reinsert the nub. It's a nice time-saving thing to do. Just be careful when you're removing the hop rubber that you don't put too much force on the hop unit. Then install the Friction Pro. Just make sure the tab on the inside follows the line on the bottom of the barrel. And that's it done. We can reinsert it. We don't have to mess around putting another nub in there because the G&G nub works well with this rubber. Now, reinsert your barrel stabilizer into the front of the hop unit. Reinsert your clip and make sure that you do press it down fully or you'll have problems inserting this into your upper. And it's done. Reinsert into the upper, put to one side, and we'll reinsert this once we've done everything else. Now, to insert your short stroke kit, we need to remove the loading arm. I don't know what you'd call it, but take this out. Pull it out from the bottom of the gun, and while you're there, press down on the Tappet plate and remove the nozzle. Now, the BBA short stroke kit, it has been upgraded since the many that we've bought prior. It's now either, I think it's injection molded plastic or it's a cast product, which is better. Now, to insert these, some might just fit in by pressing. Sometimes I've had it where we do have to use a mallet to knock them in because they are done to a very tight tolerance because they don't want to be moving around. But once you've got them in, that's a second upgrade done. Now, we're not going to put this back into the gun now because we're going to upgrade the Tappet plate because it's broken. Remove these two pins out your gas chamber and then pull the gas chamber out of the stock. In there will be a grub screw that's holding the back of the gearbox into the gun. Now, make sure you unscrew that and it doesn't go in that far, so you don't need to screw it many times before you remove the handle. Just make sure that you keep the screw inside the handle so you don't lose it. Now, once you've removed that exposes the rear of the gearbox. The next thing to do is take out all the grub screws on the body. I start with the bigger ones and the safety. We didn't record that, I do apologise. But just make sure that you take out all the grub screws that are attaching the gearbox to that body. Now, it's not just these screws that hold it all in place. The mag release also does that. This is a very tiny Allen key. I think it's 1.5mm. Make sure you unscrew that and make sure that you put all the parts safely to one side because the little screw in there, it can go missing. Make sure you put the spring and the actual mag holder to one side. The next thing you have to remove is the other mag release. This has had the blanking plate put on it because we all know any users of the LevAR do drop mags quite easily by not disabling it, so that's why that is already done. Once they're out, the gearbox should now be free, which you can rock out like this. Now it's just a simple process of removing the screws from the gearbox. Now they do like to stay in there, that's not a problem, you can leave them in if you want, but they are very easy to remove. They're all the same length, so don't worry about putting them back in different positions. The only thing that is different when you're taking the screws out is at the back of the gearbox near the trigger, there's a little black screw. Now that is holding all the trigger mech together and just making sure it's holding it in place to the gearbox. When you're removing this, it won't feel like it's turning much, and it's because it's held in by a couple of threads. Take out that side of the gearbox and there you'll find the tappet plate. And as you can see, this one is broken. That should be attached, and it's not, and this is why we're replacing it. You can see the wear from the arm that's been rubbing on the gearbox. So when we do this, we'll give it a clean and a re-grease. Be careful with this little screw because you'll need to reinsert this when you put in the new tappet plate. But before we do this, remove all the parts and then give it a clean. Now we're using some oil remover, which is basically a strong degreaser, but if you've not got this, alcohol will do, or any sort of cleaning products, just to make sure you're getting rid of all that old paint, any sort of debris that's inside there. We're using the 4 Quantum lubricants for this just because they're very convenient. They're a little expensive for how much you get, but you can't beat convenience and speed. So if you haven't got any of these, they are well worth it, especially if you're doing little bits of tech work and maintaining your guns at sites and things like that. Apply grease to where it moves and pressure's put, and it'll just help it move a lot more freely and make the part last longer. This is made out of metal, so I should hope this lasts a hell of a lot longer. Reinsert the new screw, and then once that's inserted, we'll put the gearbox back together. Now the other thing to just watch out for while this is apart, this gun when it was first ever racked lost the ball bearing, which you can see when we put the gearbox back together. Just at the bottom there's a spring just poking out. When the short stroke kit's in, if you have lost this ball bearing from use, it's not required. It does help the LevAR return on its own a little bit easier. However, when the short stroke kit is in, there's a bit more friction and it doesn't move that far anymore, so it doesn't cause a problem. However, if you do need to replace it, just buy another ball bearing set and put another ball bearing and squash that spring back up. It's as simple as that. However, I find with the short stroke kitting, it doesn't need it. I find it to be actually a little bit easier to use without it. But that's me. If it offends you, then replace it. Now, insert everything back together as it was when you had it. The one thing to watch out for when you are screwing all this back together is just not to over tighten anything. The only one that does need to make sure that it's got some decent tightness is the mag release, because you want to make sure that that is pulling and holding the magazine in properly once it's depressed. So make sure that you screw this all the way down. One thing to add on this is while you're reassembling the gas block at the back where you insert your gas, there is an O-ring actually on the gas chamber itself. If you are having air leaks at this point, replace that O-ring to a standard silicone O-ring. This one hasn't got any leaks due to being well looked after and serviced, but if you do need to replace that, you do this now before you reassemble. With these push pins that are going in, I see a lot of people that reinsert these and then lose them. Make sure you push them flush with the grip. A lot of people just push them in till it holds. You need to make sure that you put some pressure on so they clip into place. Also, with the nozzle, this is the enhanced nozzle from Waldo. Make sure you lubricate the O-rings and lubricate the nozzle. Press the tappet plate down, push that into place, and then that's done. There is a grub screw in the nozzle because it's basically an end pass, but adjust that to taste. Drop in your bolt, and then once that bolt's dropped in, we are now at a point where we're reassembling a few of the finickier bits. Now, for your lever arm, you will have to apply some pressure to the short stroke kit as you slide it into place. This is just to squeeze it in basically, but once it's in place, tap the pin back into place and that's reinserted and working. Now the most fiddliest part is the selector, the safety selector. Make sure you drop the spring in, then apply some grease. This is to hold the very tiny ball bearing that helps it click into place. The grease is there so when you turn it upside down, it doesn't disappear into the ether. You'll know about this if you've done it before, but make sure you've got that grease on there, hold it in place and literally reattach this screw. You might have to put a little bit more force in than you would normally, but once that's working, the ball bearing should click into place. Reinsert the upper by sliding it all back, press in your bolt, and it's done.
So guys, as you can see, for me, this G&G LevAR is the simplest gun to work on. It operates easily. Parts, I can't see any of these wearing out anytime soon, even with the amount of rounds that have been through this one. Maybe the short stroke kit and things like that might wear out with them being plastic, rubbing on metal and things, but they're cheap. They're very easy to replace. BBA Airsoft or whatever it's called, it's a good product and they've got better since the first one to the one that we've bought recently. It's gone from like a 3D printed plastic to now it's either cast or it's injection molded, which is mental for such a cheap part. But it's a very popular gun and I understand why. The accuracy of this thing is mental out of the box. With a few little cheap upgrades like this, you can turn it into a gun that you can use in CQB. A gun that you interact with just makes Airsoft better. And I just think using this, it's just like a single shot shotgun. For the money, you can't really beat these upgrades for this gun. And with this setup, I'd quite happily run this as a DMR or a sniper rifle outside, even with a 7-inch and no stop, just because I absolutely love how this thing shoots. But chuck a stock on it, chuck an LVPO, whatever you call them, on top, and you've got yourself a solid sniper rifle that'll bounce falls off people's heads at, 60, 70, 80 meters. Lovely, lovely gun. They work a lot better on HPA just because of the consistency, but on gas, they work great. But as soon as you start going through that them shots, you do have to adjust your hop as you're playing. But they still work fine on gas. It's just they're a lot more consistent on HPA. But this one, we've left it as gas because that's what he wants, because he uses the inside. And yeah, what do you think about the LevAR? Me, favourite gun by far, because it makes Airsoft a lot harder, makes it a lot more interesting because you're having to use and work with the gun. And every shot, your second shot, you're always coming off target to rack it. The short stroke kit makes that a lot easier, don't get me wrong, but you still come off target when you're racking this thing. And that adds a very much so level of interest and excitement to Airsoft. What do you think? Bang in the comments below. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this video, I hope you've learned something, and if you've got yours, what have you done to it? Let us know. Thanks for watching.